Hello and welcome to the channel. Despite President Buhari yesterday addressing the nation in regards to Nigerians' cash issues, where he promised an extension of the usage of the whole 200 naira notes, but that the 500 naira and 1000 naira are ceased to be legal tender, the president has shown a blatant disregard to the rule of law, which is quite troubling to say the least, in a democratic nation no less. The highest court in the land, the Supreme Court, had ordered the government to allow the old 200 naira, 500 naira and 1000 naira notes to continue to be used by Nigerians until its ruling on the 22nd. But a day after that ruling, Buhari went and did the nationwide broadcast. What does that say to Nigerians about their justice system and the president's apparent disregard for it? Buhari has been one claiming to support democracy and an advocate for respecting the process. But in two cases, where the courts had ordered one thing, he had gone and do the complete opposite, and that is just sad. Firstly, he rejected an appeal court ruling on the release of IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu, and now this. Anyways, the Supreme Court is still to decide on the case next week. Let's wait and see how they'd react to the executive undermining them. Subscribe, like, share, and comment. Thank you. New Naira notes. Federal government has disregard for Supreme Court Gbajabiamila. The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, on Thursday faulted the decision of the federal government to disregard the Supreme Court order on the issue of currency swap. It will be recalled that the Apex Court had last week given an order for the old 1000 naira, 500 naira and 200 naira notes to remain legal tender pending the determination of a case brought before it by some state governors. On Wednesday, the Apex Court also reiterated its order and adjourned the matter to February 22. On Thursday morning, President Muhammadu Buhari, in a nationwide broadcast, said he had instructed the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) to reintroduce the whole 200 naira notes until April 10, 2023, while the whole 1000 naira and 500 naira have stopped being legal tender. Reacting in a statement he personally signed in Abuja on Thursday, Gbajabiamila said though the president's directive was a step in the right direction, the federal government could not afford situations that suggest a wanton disregard for the rule of law. This morning, President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, announced that he has authorized the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) to reintroduce the whole 200 naira notes into circulation, pending when the bank can make sufficient amounts of the new currency available. This is a step in the right direction, and I hope it helps curb Nigerians' suffering. However, the decision still falls short of the order of the Supreme Court that the whole currencies remain legal tender pending the adjudication of a pending suit brought by state governments on the legality of the policy and its implementation. It is not to the benefit of our country for the federal government to act in ways that suggest a wanton disregard for the rule of law. It will be better for us to strictly adhere to the court's order in this matter, pending the adjudication of the substantive suit, he said. Gbajabiamila, however, urged the citizens to bear this moment with equanimity. He also urged the people to desist from actions capable of causing the breakdown of law and order. For the sake of our country, we must work together to resist actions that escalate tensions and endanger our democracy at this crucial moment of national awakening and rebirth. In all things, let the well-being of our fellow citizens and the survival of our nation be foremost in our hearts and guide all the decisions we make in this historic moment, the Speaker said. Bemoaning the current situation in the country, Gbajabiamila added that citizens and visitors are experiencing grave and unnecessary hardship across our country. They spend hours and days queuing at banks and teller machines to receive stipends of their own money to afford life's necessities. This situation is a consequence of the flawed implementation of the Naira redesign policy by the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN). It is also the result of decisions made by the central bank's governor, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, to refuse counsel, be guided by precedent, or abide by the decisions of superior courts. He said Section 23 of the CBN Act 2007 provided a statutory authority for the Apex Bank to initiate and implement policies for the recall of Nigerian currency, stressing that based on the provisions of the law, there were three conditions precedent for the CBN to recall existing Naira notes. The first is that the permission of the President must be obtained, and the second is that reasonable notice shall be given. The third is that the Central Bank of Nigeria shall pay the face value of the recalled currency upon receipt. Whereas reasonable people may disagree as to whether sufficient notice was given for the implementation of this policy, it is evident that the Central Bank of Nigeria has failed woefully in its statutory obligation to pay the face value of the recalled currency in the form that is useful to the citizens whose current suffering could have been avoided. Subscribe, like, share, comment, and please turn the notification bell on. Thank you. The current scarcity of cash is happening because the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) did not sufficiently replace the old currency it pulled out of circulation across the country. This created an artificial scarcity that put significant additional pressure on the already epileptic electronic banking channels, resulting in a near-complete collapse of trade in the country. Businesses cannot operate because neither they nor their customers have access to cash, and electronic banking platforms appear to have uniformly collapsed. It is unclear what interest is served by persisting in this erroneous course towards an unfolding economic disaster that the country cannot afford. The ongoing devastation of livelihoods is bound to have consequences long after this moment has passed. It is disheartening that the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) has resolutely refused to admit error and change course in the face of mounting evidence that the implementation of this policy has been a devastating failure. It is deeply troubling that neither the intervention of the National Council of State nor an order of the Supreme Court is sufficient to cause the Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) to review the decisions that have brought us to this entirely avoidable moment, Gbajabiamila said. That's the news, guys. Thanks for listening. Until next time, bye.